Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front pads on a Honda CRV. This is a 2018. This video or this procedure will work for several models in that year. There is little to no difference as far as the brake calipers or the brake pads. So I will put all the tools you need and the torques in the description, so you can reference that. And here we go. So first thing first is safety. Make sure your vehicle is parked on a level ground and jacked up correctly in the right spot with jack stands and anti-roll the car in park. And since we're doing the front, we can engage the parking brake for the back. I'm using power tools, so I have an impact wrench. If you're using manual, that's fine. I'll be using a combination. My torque wrench at the end will be a manual one. So once you have the car up in the right position, we need to take off the wheel. So we'll do that. If yours has a key, you need to use the key, such as this one here. So I'll be taking that for here, and we'll be removing the wheel, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so we took the wheel off. We used the socket that comes with the vehicle for that one unique bolt, and 19 millimeter for the rest of the lug nuts. At this point, it's good time to get yourself a mask, because you don't want to inhale the brake dust that's going to come off of here when you're disassembling and cleaning this area. Other safety items that you could use is gloves. Keeps your hands clean and your skin protected from small nicks or whenever a screwdriver or a wrench decides to slip, you don't injure yourself for minor. And eye protection. This particular job, eye protection is not mandatory. I myself am not going to use eye protection because it could blur your vision a little bit if your glasses are not super clean or they fog up from the mask. But if you're more comfortable, go ahead and wear your eye protection. At this point, we need to pop the hood and open the brake fluid reservoir cap. We can do it now, or we can do it in a minute, because we have to depress the caliper piston, and that fluid has to go up somewhere. This is where the brake fluid reservoir is located. So you just undo this cap, and you can keep it on top to protect from debris falling in there. The other thing is you want to make sure you have room for the fluid to go back into, because when you depress your caliper, it needs that the fluid is going to go back in here. So if it's filled to the top where the max is, there's little room for the fluid to go. In my case, this is low, so it needs to be topped off. So I might not have an issue, but in your case, you either use a turkey baster to remove some of the fluid, or you can bleed the brakes to let down some of the fluid. This is where the valve for the brake caliper you have to remove this plastic rubber cover for the bolt. The next step is you take a pry bar or a big flathead screwdriver, and you wedge it right here between the pad and the rotor, and you pry back. Now I already did that myself, and what that does is going to allow the piston to go back inside the caliper. You can see the piston, this shiny ring, it goes all the way around. This caliper is a single piston caliper. There's no piston on the outside, and on the inside there's only one piston. So now that we press the piston almost all the way back in, if not all the way back in, you can see the brake can move, the brake caliper can move freely here because we have a gap, and that's because the pads are all worn out. So next is we need to remove this bolt and the bottom bolt, and the caliper will come off. We can hook it somewhere up there, so either have a bungee cord or some other method to hook it, because you don't want it to put tension on the brake hose. So that's the next step, and I'm gonna go get those two bolts off. I think these are 17 millimeter. Let's see. Nope, that looks too big. I would say 14. Let's see the 14. 14 is the winner. So 14 millimeter. You can use a deep socket. You don't need a deep socket, but. And then the inside here is a 19 millimeter on the inside. So you need an English wrench or a wrench to put in here, so it doesn't just spin, because this can spin in place. If you try to just turn this one, you won't be turning, so you would have to hold this with another wrench. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to use my impact wrench. That might get it out of there without me having to hold the inside, but if it does not come out, I have to get a 19 wrench, and here is a 14 millimeter. Okay, so we took our caliper off, and here are the bolts, and here's our caliper hanging from a bungee cord. Now is a good time to take a picture so that it's easier for you to remember how the pads, the location of the pads, and all these hardware that comes with the pads go. You can reference that when you're assembling your new pads, and this way you don't have to try and guess or figure it out the hard way. That's one of the tips that I like to do. I always take a picture of anything that I'm working on because it makes life easier. This is not as a complicated situation here. Electrical or other areas can be a lot more challenging to remember where everything goes. Okay, so now we removed the old pads and the brackets and also the pins. So one thing I noticed is the pins are unique. The top one is the one on the left and the bottom one is the one on the right. You can see how the one on the right, which is for the bottom, has some type of a plastic part on top of it. And so make sure you do not accidentally put them in the wrong place. So now is a good time to take a metal brush or a metal wheel to this area and clean it up a little bit, which is what I'm gonna do next. We're gonna clean it up. And then here's the pads. This is the one on the outside. You can see there's like no pad left. This is. So we're gonna clean the rotor surface a little bit from the rust. We're gonna clean the caliper bracket. And then the caliper from all that brake dust. This is why I said wear a mask, because you don't want to inhale all this dust. It's not healthy or good for your lungs. Next thing we did is we cleaned the grease, the old grease off of the pins, the caliper pins. We put them back inside, took them out to take more of the old grease that's inside here and down here. So this way the new grease can go in there and then last the life of the new pads. And this is a good time to get some type of protection on the floor depending on where you're working. I'm using a cardboard box so that it can collect all that brake dust and the brake cleaner. So now we're gonna clean our caliper a little bit, spray it up, and then these areas, spray the caliper and the rotor, And I'll do more off camera so I can have better angle and let that dry and clean. And I'll take a minute so that the smell can go away and escape out of my garage. Right, we're back. So in this case, our rotors is still in good shape. There's no lip here whatsoever. And these rotors still have a lot of meat on them. There's no vibration from what I understand from the driver. So they're not warped or anything. So we're opting to only change the pads this time around, and maybe next time it'll be ready for a new set of rotor. In this case, we are using the Power Stop Evolution Plus kit. These are ceramic disc brakes, so it will provide a better stopping power with less brake dust escaping and polluting or dirtying the wheels, giving your car a longer clean look and providing a longer lifetime. This also comes with the hardware kit. So what we have in here is there's a kit in here that we need to assemble. These are the caliper, the pads, sorry. And at a glance, it looks like it already has the kit on it, so I'm not sure. I would have to take a closer look once I open this to see if I even need those. Here is the part numbers if you're interested of the same brake pads, and there's supposed to be a break-in. This is the break-in procedure, which I'll go over at the end of the video. Okay, so now we installed the brackets. We put one at the top, one at the bottom, and we put a little bit of high heat anti-friction grease so the pads can slide back and forth no problem. We did this on the outside, on the inside, it's harder to see. And we also put the high heat anti-friction grease on the back of the new pad. You can see here whoa, get back up. Okay. Oof. So you can see the pads, compare the new to the old. The old had almost no shoe left on it or material, and this is going to be a lot thicker, should last a long time. We also greased the pins, and now everything is greased and ready to go back. The pad that has this part on it, which tells you, this is the part that tells you when it's time to replace it again. It starts to make a whistling noise, you could call it. So this one goes on the inside, and then you can see the piston mark. So we used the shield. I don't know if it's a heat shield but it didn't come with the new pad, so I put that on there. It's not mandatory, but since we have it, we can reuse it. And this one will be on the outside. So we're gonna go ahead and insert the pads where they go. So this one will, I'm gonna need both my hands for this because I gotta get these things to hook. So our driver's side, the new pads and caliper and bolts are back on. They're just hand tight. I haven't torqued them. I gotta look at the torque spec. But one thing I wanna mention is that when you're doing this job, which I forgot to do, which would have made my life easy, is turn your wheel to the left so the wheel is pointing at you and the brake caliper is more out. If you're doing one at a time like I am, this will give you more access, because it was a little bit of challenge to fit my head in there and have a good angle to put the inner pad, which I did. Another thing is maybe put the grease after you install the pads, because the grease got all in my hands, so I had to add more. This is the grease I'm talking about. And now that I see the orientation, maybe we didn't need to grease this area, just the two ends. So those are a few tips. This is the first time I'm doing this job, so I will make sure I do it that way on the other side, just to make my life easy. I mean, everything is working fine, and as it should. You can see here. So next is we need to tighten and torque these bolts. All right, so with that, our driver side is done. I'm just gonna give the rotor a little bit of cleaning, and we torqued the caliper bolt to 37 foot-pound, and we bleeded the brake, just in case there's any air bubbles or the oil that gets the most heat is here by the caliper. That's not mandatory, but I like to do that. That's just my style. And we will be adding more fluid. It's .3, by the way, in case you're wondering. So now we torque these to 37 foot-pound. We need to put the wheel on, and the lug nuts are torqued to 80 foot-pound. After that, you need to pump the brake a little bit. Don't overdo it, just to get the pads against the rotor, because right now there's a little bit of gap because we pushed the piston all the way in. And we also greased this bolt and the rotor area, so that next time this job needs to be done, probably need to replace the rotor, and the rotor would be an easy to take it off and not have to struggle with any seized bolt. All right, so we just wrapped up the passenger side. A lot of videos on YouTube do not cover the passenger side, or basically they would perform the service on one side and explain that it's exactly the same for the other side. Well, that is true. I just wanted to highlight how, angling the wheel out, if your caliper is in the front of the hub, or angling your wheel in if your caliper in the back of the hub, will make the job easier. I had much better access to these bolts and to the brake bleeder. I also did not add grease on the pads till after I put them on the caliper bracket, and then I added the grease. And this time I didn't add grease in the center, as it's not needed for this side. Not a problem on the other side, just there's no purpose of having it here. It'll maybe not help it not rust or. All right, so the wheel is back on, torqued to 80 foot-pound, and the brake fluid is topped off to max. It's hard to see in here, and we cleaned the area around it. There's also some corrosion on the negative battery terminal. We cleaned that up. So now it's time to take the vehicle for a drive to break in the new brake pads. And the way you do that, you drive in a safe location, maybe a large parking lot or a quiet road, and you accelerate to 30 miles per hour or 40 miles per hour, and you brake down to 10 or 5 miles per hour. It's instructions are here, and you repeat that for 30 accelerations. It's saying here, so yeah, some around there. And in this way you can get your new pads to match the surface of the rotor. So it needs to match the surface of the rotor in order to provide you with the best stopping power, because you will have more surface contact and friction, and to prevent damage to your rotor from heavy braking. So you have to do gentle or mild braking for the next 200 miles. Here's why you should wear a mask. This is not an N95. It just makes it really difficult for me to breathe in an N95. But just to give you an example how much it stopped from all that nasty brake caliper dust from coming in to my lungs. Always protect yourself, not just your outside physical body, but also your internal organs. And have a great day. And that's all, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video. Please leave the comments if you notice anything or